When it comes to cuteness, few cars can match the Mini Cooper. With its subcompact dimensions and cheerful styling, this little guy here is like a kitten in a teacup, except he's not going to hiss, scratch, or give you toxoplasmosis. That's a disease you get from cats. But don't let its dust cover fool you. This history book is a real page-turner. You know, ever since the Mini was first introduced in the 1960s, these cars have been an absolute hoot and a half to drive. But has the company given up on this rich heritage? Well, we're here in beautiful Puerto Rico to put the 2014 hardtop model through its paces on the country's narrow, winding roads, and we may even see a chupacabra in the process. Just keep your eyes open.
Chupacabra.
Obviously, this Cooper hardtop draws a ton of inspiration from its predecessor. I mean, can you even tell them apart? Frankly, I really can't. Though to be fair, I do have trouble seeing color, shapes, and movements. Now, despite being designed doppelgangers, there's actually a laundry list of differences between these two vehicles. In fact, the 2014 hardtop here rides on a brand new architecture, and its engines are all new as well. Right off the bat, this car is built on an all-new platform. Overall, it's 4.5 inches longer and features a wheelbase that's been stretched by 1.1 inches. Front and rear, the car's track has been increased, and so has the luggage space. Behind the back seat, it's grown to nearly 9 cubic feet. These dimensional enhancements are supposed to make the car more functional for cargo as well as more comfortable for passengers, although overall it feels a little bit disingenuous because this Mini ain't so mini anymore, and when you stand next to it, it seems noticeably larger. But putting the tape measure away, here are a few numbers I know you're going to be a lot more interested in. The 2014 hardtop's base engine is a 1.5-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that pumps out 134 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. Cooper S's are powered by a larger force-fed 2-liter 4-banger that cranks out a palpitation-inducing 189 horsepower with 207 units of twist. Additionally, there's a nifty overboost feature on both engines that briefly ups the torque output of them, giving you a few more pound-feet to play with. A 6-speed manual transmission is standard. An auto box with the same number of ratios is also available if you've totally given up on life. In the acceleration department, both cars are plenty quick. The base Cooper can hit 60 miles an hour from a standstill in around 7.4 seconds. The S will accomplish the same feat in roughly 6.5 seconds. When it comes to fuel economy, with 2 engines and 2 transmission choices, things start to get a little confusing. Keeping it simple, the S version delivers a combined score of 32 mpg with the automatic and just 28 with the manual. You know, maybe I'm mistaken. There could be something to these self-shifting gearboxes after all. Moving to the interior, things are just as familiar. There's no mistaking this car for anything else other than a Mini. You've got this gigantic circular display right here, front and center, in the middle of the dashboard. That is a hallmark Mini design feature. Some of the materials in this cabin, very, very high-end. Soft plastics everywhere. Dashboard, door panels, center armrest. They've always done a good job with that, and they continue to do a good job with that on this 2014 hardtop model. So directly in front of the driver is this small diameter, very chunky steering wheel. It makes this car a lot of fun to toss around. Steering wheel is the most important interface point in a car, and Mini nailed it. You've got your gauges up here, large speedometer in the middle, tachometer off to the side. It looks pretty nice. Down here at the bottom of the center stack, there's one thing that I do not care for about this car. The retro-inspired toggle-style switches still remain. Those, of course, are in today's version of the Mini, and it's a retro touch I kind of wish would go the way of lead-based paint and lobotomies. Fortunately, though, my biggest complaint regarding these switches, they have addressed, then they've moved the power window switches up to the door where they belong, so there's no more fumbling along down here to try to roll the window down. Now, the front seats in this car are very sporty. They're nicely bolstered, hold you in place when you're carving on those mountain roads. They're kind of like a hug from the Queen of England. They're authoritative, but also amicable at the same time. You know, I could be a Skeletor impersonator, and even these seats grip me pretty well. If you were a little bit bigger than me, they might be a touch narrow, but I think they fit quite nicely. All right, now we're talking. Driving the S model right now, throwing it around these curving, narrow mountain roads here outside San Juan, Puerto Rico. And this car, like other Minis, an absolute blast to drive. It just dives into corners with great enthusiasm. The handling really tight, body stays flat as you're going through those turns. This car is fun with a capital FU. Of course, the S model features that 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and it doesn't put out quite as much power as other similarly sized power plants from other manufacturers, but I kind of think Mini was going for a fuel economy play, and in any instance, it's still plenty of go. You nail the throttle, the car accelerates quite well, plenty of power to get you into trouble. So this particular test car happens to be equipped with that 6-speed automatic transmission, and it almost feels like a dual clutch automatic when you're on this car. When you're driving it hard, it'll bang off upshifts really quick, but if you're just going about your business slowly, steadily, she'll slur between gears really well. It's a nice transmission. Now there's a little ring that goes around the base of the shifter, and that lets you change between the different driving modes. I've of course got it in sport setting right now. Gives you aggressive throttle tip and even makes the engine sound a little bit huskier when you get on the accelerator. There's also a mid mode setting for, I'm assuming, normal commuting. And then of course there's a green mode for eco-friendly driving, though it does noticeably dull the responsiveness of both the engine and transmission. One other feature I gotta talk about is the heads-up display that this car is equipped with. Like we've seen on other cars, notably the 2014 Mazda 3, you've got your speed, a nice reminder right there in front of you on this little plastic display screen that pops up. And if you don't want it, if you find it distracting, just hit a button here. The bottom of the center stack tucks right away into the dashboard. Despite its modest size increase, the 2014 Mini hardtop is still a Mini right down to its core. It delivers a riotously entertaining driving experience, yet it's more fuel efficient and feature-laden than ever. And oh yeah, it's a lot cuter than even a Chupacabra, which, by the way, we never did end up running across.
Chupacabra!